Brent Tharp. I'm the director of the Georgia Southern University Museum, and I'm delighted Lillian let me be here with her today to look at some of these archival materials and pull out some pieces from the museum collection as well, and how we sort of deal with some of those. One of the things I wanted to talk about, as she's mentioned, the real key here on all of this is keeping it in acid-free material. You'll see pieces like this wonderful indenture right here that comes to us from the very early 18th century, and you'll see even older pieces from the 18th and early 19th century that are really bright white and wonderful pieces. And then you'll see these very new things that are drying up and turning brown very quickly and crumbling. That's the difference of the introduction of acid. So these early papers were made from rag, and they don't have a lot of that acidic material in them, so they stay bright and white often. Whereas later, when we start using pulp in the paper, that acid gets built into the paper and it literally eats itself up. That's why newspapers, which are among the worst of all these, always end up turning yellow and drying up really quickly. So keeping acid-free materials around them to not introduce any more acid into the object is what's really important. But sometimes those are really big pieces, like this large indenture here from Richard, let's see, what would we say, Kilpatrick in Chatham County, or in the early 19th century. And beautiful piece, but very large. And if you've got something like this, we can't use the sheets like we used before. Then it's a matter of getting a large folder. You want to keep these flat. And so a folder like this, that again is acid-free material, you can build into a folder, write your information or tags or anything else on the outside of it, and then keep it flat. The mistake that a lot of people make with documents and a lot of things is rolling them because they end up taking up less space. But ultimately what you get is a piece like this that's very hard for a researcher to use and also doesn't really help in the preservation at all. So documents and especially photographs are difficult to do, but you'll find a lot of these panoramic photos that were made in the late 19th and early 20th century. And this one is a good example. This is a personal one. This is the camp, the Veterans Camp at Gettysburg at the anniversary in 1938. And so veterans came back, and it's a lovely picture showing the entire encampment. But unfortunately, it's been tightly rolled like this. And if you try and unroll it and just press it flat, you're going to break and crack the film on this photograph and really ruin it, and probably break it literally into pieces as the paper gets difficult. And that's true for all kinds of documents. What do you do when you're faced with a problem like this? You want to see something or you want to frame it. What we want to eventually do is get it flat so that we can frame it flat, like this piece. This is a military unit in Germany right after World War I, an ambulance company in 1919, and so in its original frame. If you want to try and get it to an area like this that you can store it or frame it flat, what you want to do with these is to very slowly put them in a chamber and build up the humidity so that this piece relaxes. If you try and just force it right now, you'll break that coating, film coating, and probably break the paper as well. So what we're going to do is get a large enough plastic tub with a good top that'll seal on it. You want to build some kind of a rack, either literally find a metal or more importantly probably a plastic rack of some sort that we can keep the photo on top of inside this. And then just a small cup of water. We're going to put the top on it. We're going to seal it off. You may even have to run some plastic wrap or something around that top to help keep it really sealed. Put it in a warm place, and over days or even a week, slowly build up the humidity. Now, you never want this piece to get wet, but you want to build up slowly the humidity in that chamber, not so that it's dripping on the piece or that it ever touches the water, but just so it starts to relax. And once the humidity is at a higher level, this piece will begin, and you'll see, will begin to relax and unroll. And at some point then, when it's got relaxed, then you can take it out, put it between two pieces of acid-free paper, and press it with a heavy weight to take that curl out of it. Leave it for overnight, and you should be able to take those off It may even start to roll a little bit, but it won't roll back up as tight as it is, so that it won't, you've naturally unrolled it a little bit, and you won't break that photo material or the paper that way. And then you can either leave it flat, pressed between a folder like this, or if you want to frame it, then you can take it and have it framed without that happening. So that's a couple pieces we wanted to bring out. She also showed you in the earlier video one of the scrapbooks from the collection that was from Gay Kimbrough Dole in 1950. All kinds of wonderful materials in there, cards and pressed flowers and a whole variety of things in that scrapbook. And those always create real problems. But again, because it's one artifact, as she mentioned, photographing it so that you have a digital version and people don't have to handle it much, then you can keep the original together. Put that in a great acid-free box like this and protect it, and it'll stay around for a long time for your family and your heirs to enjoy it that way. But when you want to be able to just flip through those pages and look things for information or details on the history that you're doing or on genealogy, then you can use those digital files instead of using the original and keep it in good shape to pass down. That's our goal here with at the library and here at the museum, is making sure to try and do our best to preserve all of these items in perpetuity. And that requires some effort and some cost behind materials and locations of where you store these things. As she mentioned, keeping them out of the light. Even once you frame them, keep it on a wall that's not in direct sunlight. You want to keep it away from the light. You want to keep it away from high humidity and high temperatures. Then you'll be able to preserve these pieces for a long, long time, along with the help of these acid-free materials that we have here. Glad we could show you some of these pieces and some unique problems with very large pieces as well, and how to